welcome back to my channel. If you are preparing for technical interviews, especially for backend or full stack roles, you are bound to face questions on API design. In today's video, we are going to cover some of the most common API design interview questions and how to answer them. Let's jump into it. The first question will be, what is REST and what are its principles? A very common question in API design interview is, what is REST and what are its principles? The answer of this one, stands for a representational state transfer. It is architectural style for building APIs, and it revolves around these key principles. First, statelessness, because each request from the client must contain all the information the server needs to fulfill it. The server does not store any session state between requests. Sorry for that. I'm still ill. Number two, client server separation. The client and server are independent and interact through a uniform interface. Number three, a uniform interface. RESTful APIs have a uniform way of interacting with resources, typically through HTTP methods like get, post, put, and delete. Number four, cacheability. Responses from the server should be flexible, flexible and cacheable to improve performance. And lastly, which is layered systems. REST allows for a layered system architecture where intermediaries can handle requests for scalability. Okay, question number two. Explain the difference between put and patch. Okay, put is used to update resource by replacing it entirely. For example, if you use a put request to update a user's profile, you need to provide all the fields, even if you are only changing one of them. Patch, on other hand, is used to make partial updates. So if you want to update only the user's email address, you can just send the email field in the patch request. So, yeah. Next question, how would you design a versioned API? A common question that tests your ability to plan for future changes is, how would you design a versioned API? The answer of this one, first we can use like a URI versioning, like you can have like a v1/users. URI versioning include the version in the URL, like as you can see right now. This is easy to implement and most commonly used approach. There is header versioning, because it will be something like that. Like accept application vnd my app dot v1 plus JSON. You pass the version in the request header, as you can see right now. This keeps the URLs clean, but adds complexity to the request. There is also query parameters. It will be like something like that. You can add version to as a query parameters like that. It's important to note that backward compatibility is key when versioning APIs, and you should make sure old versions continue to function while new versions are being adopted. Next question, how would you handle pagination in RESTful API? So a typical scenario you might encounter is, how would you handle pagination in RESTful API? The answer of this one should be, basically pagination is crucial when dealing with large datasets. The most common method is using a query parameters like that. This retrieves the second page with 20 users per page. In addition to the data, it will be like That will be like something. Sorry, that will be something like that you will get. Another approach is cursor-based pagination, which uses a unique identifier like timestamp or ID to fetch the next set of records. Next, how would you design a secure API? Okay, security is always concerned in API design, so you might face this question. The answer of this one should be like there are several there are several best practices to follow when securing an API. First, we should use HTTPS. Always ensure data is transmitted securely using HTTPS. We should implement authentication and authorization. Use OAuth 2 API keys or JSON Web Tokens to ensure only authorized users can access your API. We should use rate limiting. Prevent abuse by limiting the number of requests a client can make within a certain period. Input validation and sanitization. Always validate and sanitize user inputs to prevent injection attacks. Lastly, log and monitoring requests. Use logging and monitoring tools to detect suspicious activities and take actions. Next questions. How would you handle errors in RESTful API? A key part of API design is handling error. So you may face this question. It's important to return meaningful and consistent error response. There are some things which should be best practices. First, we should use the appropriate HTTP status code. You can view my previous videos on the error handling in APIs, but for now, you should know what is the difference between 400 and 401 and 404 and 500, which is bad request and authorized and not found and internal server error. We should provide a clear error message, include details about what went wrong and how to fix it. We should return error codes, for example, something like that. It will be something like that. Basically, include a custom error code for easier debugging. And also we should provide a clear message like the email fields is required. This is an example of how a good error is handled. Lastly, what are the difference between REST and GraphQL? This is a popular interview questions. The answer of this one should be REST uses multiple endpoints for different resources and returns a fixed structure of data. On the other hand, GraphQL uses a single endpoint and allows clients to request exactly the data they need, nothing more or less. With REST, you often overfetch or underfetch. With GraphQL, you can specify which fields to include in the response, making it more efficient for certain uses for certain use cases, like mobile apps with limited bandwidth. So, in conclusion, some of them some of the most common API design interview questions will be the REST principles and HTTP methods, versioning, pagination and security, error handling, and comparing REST with GraphQL. So that's it for this video, and see you in the next videos.